Awesome. We're live, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. 2022 is going to be a great year, but we've got the normal live stream today. It's not going to be as long as some of the normal live streams. This one's going to be a little bit under an hour. I've got a dinner obligation with family that I'll be doing, but there's some really exciting news that we've all heard announced from Richard regarding Pulsex, and that most likely that sacrifice phase will happen before 2022. And so the reason that I put it as a question on the title was because, sometimes with the actual dates, even with PulseChain, it can be delayed a little bit depending on certain circumstances. So get prepared for the Pulsex sacrifice is the point, because it's going to be, quite a valuable token. And there's some information that we'll be going over in just a second. So let me just say what's up to the chat real quick. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having, good Christmas holidays and looking forward to the new year and things like that. So let's just say what's up to the chat real quick here. Thanks everyone for being here. Happy that we got to make it on time, just a couple minutes late. We got, let's see, Hex Bull Run says, let's go. Rusty. And then I see Gary. I'll get to that in just a second here. But Rusty says, always great to catch Bran live. Let's do this. Awesome. Let's definitely do this. Rossi says, Pulsex sacrifice getting me excited. New to prepare all the funds in advance. And it's interesting because a lot of us have sacrificed for PulseChain and we don't have the PulseChain yet. So some people kind of need to manage their expectations a little bit when it comes to, what are you sacrificing for and kind of how does that process work? So let's see. Marianne says, happy Boxing Day, Bran and Hex fam. Awesome. Let's see. Red Squirrel, how's it going? So yeah, new details on Pulsex makes sacrificing much easier decision. I'm not too sure what the actual details are. Maybe you could, give us some updates on that. I know that there's a lot of stuff with the Pulsex that I personally haven't seen yet. We're going to be going over Richard's tweet that he has here on December 23rd, and we'll be reading that, sentence by sentence. We got Crypto Ewok. He says, what's up, brother Bran? Hope you had a very Merry Christmas. I did. And went over to my mom's place, not too far away from here. And fortunately, we did beat the snow. So as far as Jerry goes, we had maybe 4 inches of snow overnight, quite a significant amount. All right, Mango Junkie, Crypto BO4, and we'll see. Okay, and then let me see if it can show Gary's super chat here. Cool. So Gary, shout out to you, man. Funding Jim, absolutely amazing person. And actually, for those that haven't seen it, I've only seen it once, but want to go back and watch it again. Crypto Heartbeat interviewed Funding Jim. So definitely go tune into that. He says, great stream. Keep it up, Bran. Great to keep people informed. Well, exactly. And when it comes to, also when it comes to keeping people informed, one of the amazing things about the Hexican community is that, there is no scarcity mentality. It is like, abundance mentality, and people provide value in their own ways. I said that to say that one of these Hexicans is, an OG Hexican, and has recently started getting into making videos, things like this. And everyone should definitely go follow him. I'll put his link in the description. It's K4K Crypto. And I was actually just watching his video, his most recent video, I think yesterday, before this. And so there's some very interesting things with Pulsex that, just not Hex or PulseChain will have, kind of like a buyback. We'll get into some of the details in just a minute there. But shout out to Gary. And without further ado, let me do the intro. And once again, it's going to be a little bit shorter of a stream. I got a dinner obligation in like 1 hour. So let's do the intro and we'll get to it.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah. jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
All right, cool, guys. So hope everyone can see me well. I had to close a couple of tabs to make sure I'm not taking some of the bandwidth. But so once again, in this stream, it's going to be kind of succinct, and I want to cover some of the Pulsex sacrifice. Richard, at the very bottom on OBS of his live streams, there's like this white text that said, sacrifice, Pulsex sacrifice in a few days, something like that. So people should kind of be preparing if they haven't already. And once again, it's a unique opportunity because it's a little bit different than, say, I don't know, being able to say buy Bitcoin or Hex that exists currently. But you're buying in, I mean, you're sacrificing to get free points for something that's going to be better than crypto has ever seen when it comes to an automated market maker and just some of these other things. So let me just get back to the comments here. And what we'll do is we'll just start off with the tweet. All right, cool. Let's bring that up here. Okay. And then, so this is from December 23rd, 7:37 p.m. And Richard says, what do you think about this Pulsex plan so far? What are your thoughts? Lower fees, no inflation. So that's really cool. So lower fees, no inflation. Fees that cause the Pulsex price to go up and the supply to go down. That's pretty interesting. Price go up and supply go down. Kind of sounds like Hex with some of the locking and the staking, or just other things that are beneficial to price. So that's awesome. He says no admin keys, no middlemen. And so that's actually another thing that someone like myself that used to be multi-coiner, and then when I got into Hex, kind of just stayed in Hex and Ethereum. There's a lot that goes on in the actual space that people think like, because other coins, they have like, what is it, like a buy and burn, kind of like a stock buyback. But I think it was PancakeSwap or one of the other ones, that it's not actually decentralized. It's kind of in like a multi-sig wallet type of deal, almost like an admin key. So when Richard here says that there's no admin keys, it's just really cool to see the way that he innovates. 1 second here. There's a lot of people in the chat already. So, I mean, once again, shout out to everyone. Hope everyone had a good Christmas. And, I tell you what, 2022 is going to be a year full of, absolute financial abundance for, everyone that's here already and that's, looking into investing into these kinds of things. But let me just say what's up to the chat, because there is one super chat that I missed, and I don't want to be doing that. So give me a second here. Not going to be able to say hi to everyone, but once again, want to acknowledge the people. So Moon W. Hale. Oh, Moon Whale. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So let's get back to it. Thank you, to both of you guys. All right, let's get back to it. And what I'm going to do is actually full screen this just so I can read just a little bit easier. Okay. So there's 4 different photos. We'll just start with the first one. So users can swap one coin for another coin on Pulsex, paying a 0.29% fee. Let's see. So 21% of that fee buys Pulsex coins from the Pulsex system itself and burns the coins. So that is really cool. We'll kind of get into some of that. But once again, I think K4K, he's done a really good job. He, does a really good job, and people should definitely go be following him, because he kind of breaks it down into, some really good, explanations as well. But let's get back into it. So burns the coins. That's really awesome. 76% of the fee goes to the liquidity providers. 3% of the fee goes to an address that you have no expectations of. Users are swapping their coins for the coins in the liquidity pool. Pulsex liquidity providers earn fees. Anyone can become a liquidity provider by depositing 2 sides of a pair into a liquidity pool, the same value on each side. So, this is kind of things that we've kind of seen before as far as the, matching both sides, kind of like a Uniswap V2. type of liquidity. So it says liquidity providers, 76% of the fees users pay. If someone swaps 10,000 units, yeah. So we're not going to read that last part because it is, I don't think that last part is necessary per se. So we're going to go to the other 3 photos, okay? Let's zoom this in real quick. All right. Because remember, it's completely deflationary. So it's interesting that it says the initial liquidity, kind of where is it coming from and things like this. So the initial liquidity for Pulsex comes from a bot called the AMM, which is Automated Market Maker, Ratio Fixer Bot. It harvests over around 99.9% of the coin's liquidity from Uniswap, SushiSwap, and other popular markets at launch, then recreates those pairs on the Pulsex exchange and adds the liquidity it's harvested along with fresh Pulse to make Pulsex.com the vastly most liquid exchange on PulseChain. So this is really cool because, once again, for someone like Richard that is deciding to make his own blockchain with PulseChain, and we've seen other people do it as well, say Binance Smart Chain, things like this. But Richard's taken, a page from their book and he's improved it. So it's really cool to see that, he started off with what was just one token, which was just a smart contract. And now he's realized, okay, this is definitely a, multi-chain universe. Kind of, you need an ecosystem. And so Richard is building that ecosystem. That's kind of my opinion that what he's doing. Okay, so let's get back to it. So as users want the best deals for their trades, they tend to go where the liquidity is the largest. That creates volume. As liquidity providers make profit on volume, they're likely to deposit on the exchange with the most volume. It's hard for new competitors to overcome the critical mass of so much liquidity in one place. So that's what I meant to say, was that it's really cool that, not only is Richard doing PulseChain, but he realized, hey, we can make the premier automated market maker where people kind of, do the trades and things like that. They're going to get the best deal because there will be most likely the most liquidity here than anything else. So that's, once again, another advantage. Okay, so we got 2 more of these photos, and then we'll kind of just, chit chat with the chat a little bit and see what else is going on here. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, for the patience. So centralized liquidity also means the best deals for users. The price moves against them less when they swap. It also means that fewer arbitrage bots become rich, equalizing the prices from different liquidity sources. It's more efficient. And it says Pulsex solves some common problems. Let's see. The fee to users is the lower than most competing exchanges. Many tokens inflate at high rates. Pulsex never inflates. Very interesting. Similar to, once again, PulseChain, where it's completely deflationary. Those are really cool economic models, I think. So it says the supply only becomes more rare as 21% of the fees used to buy up the price and then burnt. Automated buy and burn public function that anyone can call, no admin keys, no middlemen. And what's his name? K4K Crypto, he had mentioned that this was almost similar to like the flush function in Hex, where once again, anyone could run it publicly, right? It's a public function. All right, and then we're going to go to the last one here, and once again, we'll kind of see what the the audience thinks, and I think this is really cool. As I mentioned, I was listening to a K4K crypto video right before this, and I'll link it into the description and in the chat as well, so people can see. But he goes over some of the math and some of the finer details when it comes to comparing other people's liquidity and what the actual buyback in dollar form can mean. And it's really impressive. It's really impressive. All right, let's get back to it. So PulseX.com summary: lower fees, no inflation, fees that cause the Pulsex price to go up and supply to go down. No admin keys, no middlemen. In order to enhance Pulsex's success, another token. This is interesting because I don't really know much about this either. So another token will exist to further incentivize liquidity providers beyond the fees they're already making. They'll be able to deposit their liquidity provider tokens that they get when they become liquidity providers, the LP tokens, into a yield farm. It says this token is emitted with decreasing inflation over time. A DAO chooses which trading pairs receive this incentive and at what rates. Only addresses with Pulsex balances get to vote in the DAO. Okay, so, and I guess let me bring it back up here. Let's just scroll down while we're doing this before we get into, the live stream comment section. Let's just see if there's any comments on Twitter that might be worth taking a look at. All right, let's keep scrolling down. Yeah, so right here, the automatic buy and burn function enables deflation adjustments. Pretty much that kind of feature itself, not needing to rely on anyone or some sort of multi-sig wallet, which generally they're usually very centralized. I think is very cool because that's what cryptocurrency itself is based off of. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Let me just do one last thing real quick and kind of just show everyone some websites. So there's pulsex.com. I'll link it in the chat too, but we're going to share it here. So once again, people need to be very careful whether it's crypto or anything else with the internet, but when you're typing in URLs, be sure you're typing it in properly, pulsex.com. So pulsex.com, because other people that have, that try to take your money, they might change the URL that sounds similar. So just make sure you type it right. We're going to go into the YouTube chat once again, and I'm going to just do pulsex.com. And then let's see, I believe that there was another one. So the other one, and it kind of makes you think that it's going to be like the PulseChain sacrifice, where you have pulsechain.com, and then you've got pulse.info. So the other one is pulsex.info. Now let me once again put that into the comment section, just so everyone can kind of at least have a reference while I have it pulled up of what's the proper one. And here's actually another interesting website that I don't know where I found it from, probably just one of the Twitter threads, but one second here, let me just pull this up and we'll share it on the screen, because I actually used one of the files, like the photo, the Pulsex. So it's easy. So the website, and once again, I'll post it, but it's easyhex.xyz. So let me just put that in the chat here as well. And then there's another one, like how to pulse. I mean, while we're at it, we might as well put that one in here. This is another super good website that people can look at. But once again, so this is the kind of like branding resources. Richard did mention, and I know my screen is kind of being a little wonky. I'm not at the main place with the fiber, so the internet might be a little bit slower than normal, but hopefully everyone can deal with it. But so anyways, the logo itself, it's not completely final. Oh, no wonder I was not on StreamYard. So the logo itself, Richard said, might be like 80% done, or 80% of what Hexicans could do and come up with. It might change, right? He had mentioned that if you're going to get a tattoo, right, there's the PulseChain, one. There's the Hex one, right? But the other ones, they're not completely decided yet. So it's exciting because, I mean, so many people in this chat, I can't name all the names, but one of them, Gary, Funding Jim, some of the people were, myself included, remember when Hex wasn't just called Hex, it was called Bitcoin Hex. And so people are getting in at the, the ground floor opportunity of, Pulsex and whatever this, the DAO thing. I'm not really too sure what all that stuff is, but then, the incentive token too. That's something that I haven't heard much talked about. So that'll be really cool to hear more information as it progresses. But I said that to say that, for people that feel like they lost out on, and even though they didn't, this is just perception, but whether they feel like they lost out on, say, Hex, right? Because it's already had 10,000 X gains. And it's funny because if someone says that same thing about Bitcoin, when it had its first 10,000 X gains, it went up to 6.9 million X gains. And so it kind of just gives you like a different perspective, different kind of paradigm. But anyways, there's going to be, there's PulseChain and then obviously Pulsex that the sacrifice should be starting soon, according to Richard. Might happen before the end of 2021. I put the question mark just because I'm not going to say it certainly, but it's really exciting that there's so many opportunities for people to, be able to put their money or sacrifice into things that actually are valuable and that, do make the world a better place, things like that. Okay, so once again, this was the website where you can kind of just see the logos and, it's got some information there. So once again, let me put that in the chat and then we'll get back to the actual chat and say what's up to everyone because there's 116 people watching. So just want to say thank you to everyone. I know that there was a handful of other, Christmas streams and things like that. So shout out to those people that did that because that's absolutely amazing. It's really cool how involved the community is. And someone else had mentioned it. I think it was Sandy, but he had mentioned that you have your family, you've got other stuff, but something like, the Hexican community or whatever other community you're in is kind of like the extended. So I thought that was pretty cool because, during the holidays, we're spending time together as well. Okay, so that one's in the chat. And let me do the last one here. How to Pulse. Yeah, howtopulse.com. Once again, super valuable resource, website. And I haven't really talked about it at all. So we're going to look at this and then we'll post it in the chat. So yeah, I mean, this is headed up by a handful of people. But, Trevon James, he had actually made a video the other day about Pulsex. And he had said that, even if you think about PulseChain, about Pulsex, about Hex, this is a really good resource for, people to be able to have in their, their back pocket if they ever need to show other people information and things like that. There's like an actual market cap. It might be under, so it's under the tool section, but there's like a real market cap, right? And then, so you got Pulse Balance Checker. Once again, that's not specifically going to be the number that you get. Richard did mention because they did kind of do the sacrifice. They were honoring the late sacrifices. What was the estimation might not be, the final. So just keep that in mind as well. So we're just going to put that in the chat, and then we'll go back to the chat and kind of just see what other people are saying since I've monologued for a little while. Okay, cool. All right, now we're just going to bring this back. Okay, yeah, let's say what's up to the chat. So once again, hope everyone's having good holidays. I know it's snowing over here. We got like 4 inches of snow last night. Thankfully, I don't need to, travel anywhere, which is good. But let's just see what some of the people say in the chat. I wonder what is more economically reasonable. Focus on one project and put 100% in, or maybe focus on 3 projects and put in 1/3 into each project. If it were me, man, or, if it was me, I'd probably do the latter. There's like the all your eggs in one basket kind of narrative and things like that. But really, when I listen to the K4K Crypto, who's a Hexican video on Pulsex and things like this, it's got such unique fundamentals and game theory, the Pulsex specifically, the buyback specifically, that it might like you said with PulseChain and market cap, it might literally break the system with some of the numbers and paradigms that they had before. That 21% of all of the fees. I didn't really grasp that at first, but when you look at, and this is what K4K did, I'll link it later, but he had showed like Uniswap, Pancake Swap, Sushi Swap, and then he had showed like what their total volume was, and then you can like subtract the volume from what the actual buyback, like the buy and burn. You can see how much dollar value that would actually be aside from the volume in buyback, pressure and stuff. So that seemed really bullish from what he had mentioned. I don't have all of the numbers specifically. Definitely go watch his video for that because he does a really good job. So shout out to him, by the way, as well. I think it's really cool and it's really telling, right? That once again, it is a really cool community. And someone like him has been in, for a very long time, and only up until recently, has wanted to, start making some videos or join some of the other streams. And this is what I tell people is that the more the merrier, right? Because someone like Crypto Heartbeat, someone like, Brandon from Rags to Riches, and K4K, these are kinds of examples of people, and same thing with Whales Only and Daddy back in the day. But as far as right now, those are the people that weren't there, before, but they're here now, and their perspective is absolutely, I think it's necessary, and I think it does a really good value add. So I just wanted to say shout out to those guys, and then once again to other people in the community that are thinking of the same thing. Hey, that's always an option. I mean, you see that it works successfully, and the community itself is very legit. Okay, so let's get back to the chat once again. It's not going to be too long of a video. We're already at like 30 minutes, but at 3 o'clock my time, I've got an obligation with family members for the holidays. So it's just going to be probably like an hour stream. We'll just go to the very end. So Rusty, nice to see you, man. I know I always see him around. He says K4K's last video made me want to sack, and then it scrolled up. Sack everything in sight. He was quite excited on that video. Well, that's the exact video that I'm talking about. And once again, there's so much that's gone on, right? Richard streamed yesterday and the day before, probably a total of like 6 hours. And then all of the other people that are streaming, sometimes it's just hard to keep up with all of it if you are going to consume it. But it's awesome. You should definitely watch that last video of K4K. And yeah, good stuff. He says K4K has got us all pumped. Turd Bucket. Interesting name. Sometimes 3 projects is part of the one. Well, yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, the way that I kind of think of it is, some people say, Bitcoin maximalists and things like this, but when it comes to not that kind of narrative, but someone used the term the other day, like Richard Hart maximalist. And so, yeah, you can be a fan of Hex, Pulse, PulseX, SciVive, stuff like that. But at least historically, things that Richard has supported, right? He supported, people don't know this, but I found out one time because I was just Twittering, Googling tornado.cash and stuff. So like Vitalik, he had contributed to, I think it was the audit part, but then I think same thing, Richard was on that list as well. And he had mentioned very early on, just like with Uniswap, stuff like that, that, hey, this technology, he's done his extensive research on it. And I think it's cool that, there's influencers and stuff like this in the crypto space that completely, you've got this huge hillside, like with the cliff, and they completely just lead people off a cliff. And, and they're just the last one standing, but it's really not the best idea. And then someone like Richard, he shares those golden nuggets that don't get people wrecked. Because what happens is the people that do get wrecked, usually in anything, but it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And then the next time you hear about like the crypto thing, you might just associate it with like, oh, isn't that Ponzi scheme stuff or that scam stuff? And it's like, no, that's just one thing that you fell for. So let's get back to the chat. We're going to click new comments because there's a whole bunch of comments. So once again, thank you to everyone that is watching. We got 122 people. And yeah, 2022 is going to be an absolute amazing year. And 2021 has been an absolute amazing year. It's really cool that Hexologist said this in the interview with Crypto Heartbeat. But while there was other stuff, obviously, going on in the world, a lot of the people that were Hexicans involved in the community, we weren't affected as much as, say, other people that didn't kind of have that backbone or, structure support group type of deal. So Johnny says, people think others have to lose for them to win. And value creation doesn't require that. And they don't get it. I mean, you're exactly right, dude. My dad used to always say, when you've got business, it should go two ways. It shouldn't go like, one way versus the other, which is kind of like what I was mentioning with the, the hillside and stuff like that. Oh yeah. Once again, this is actually really cool too, because like I mentioned, people like, I think it was Crypto Heartbeat and then Rags to Riches. Doesn't matter the actual order, but people like Crypto Heartbeat, he found a spot in the community that he felt like he could, provide some value to and make some videos towards. And just like actually with Whales Only, I think same thing with him. He had only intended on maybe making like 1 or 2 videos, something like that. And it's really cool to see people like him that did step up to the plate or that did follow through with the idea that they wanted to do, because they're absolutely, pillars of this community now. And I think that that's really cool. So shout out to him. I know he's going to have the opportunity to interview Richard for 10 minutes during the, I think it's like Hex Online. It's the conference that Maddie did last year that he's doing this year in 2022. It's going to be January sometime, online conference. But anyways, he'll be doing a little 10-minute interview with Richard. So what a cool opportunity. Diraj, good to see you, man. Take it easy. Hex, Pulsex, not a zero-sum game. What else we got here? CB Do. I like that name. Says, I really should zoom this in, man, because I got this on the smaller screen here. So let's zoom this in. So CB Do says, when you go with the flow, you have the power of the whole river at your disposal. I like that. I definitely like that, right? In shop and stuff like that, right? My grandpa was a carpenter for like over 60 years and stuff. Yeah, you go with the grain, not against the grain. So same thing. Yeah, once again, shout out to all the people that do support all of the streams, right? It's really cool to see how impactful a community actually can be, right? I think I tell people this, that I came in it for crypto initially for the gains, right? I had seen a bag double in like the period of maybe 2.5 months, something like that. And then when I'd found people like Richard, that I'd actually found him through someone that was talking crap and I wanted to verify. But, I came in for the crypto, and then with someone like Richard specifically, he's such a rarity in the space that, you stay, even if the crypto is bad, which it's not, it's the opposite, it's the best. The community is almost more beneficial, more of a better experience than just investing in something and not interacting within that. So I think that that's really cool. Hex Live, nice to see you. And yeah, once again, all the people here, we got a lot of people here. We did look at a little bit of the information that Richard had done on Pulsex. Once again, I think, and I do have it in this little show notes thing that I'm going to start doing. 1 second here. we're gonna share this video. Let's do 1 second, guys. So yeah, this is the K4K Crypto. I actually clicked the timestamp section, so you'll just have to scroll back to the beginning of the video. But this is the actual video that I was watching that the other guys were saying that was the most recent video that K4K did that is really bullish. And, you know, it's cool because he's just presenting facts. And that's why I think it's awesome, the work that he's doing, the work that other people are doing, because they're thinking of the finer details that really make you know, this successful, and that are really going to determine for some people what amount they do actually allocate of their total capital. You know, say, I don't know, say you had $100 as an example that you could sacrifice. Well, if you understand some of the mechanics and how it works a little bit better, if people understood that with Hex, you know, of course they would have gone back. And so if you can do that with other things, or with Pulsex, I think it is going to be really bullish. So shout out to K4K for doing that. Really beneficial. Okay. Yep. I hope you get a good deal. Hex bull run. All right. Let's click new comments again. There's a whole bunch of different comments, so not going to be able to get to all of them. Obviously, there's 113 people watching, but yeah, let's just see what the chat's up to. And once again, this video the stream just is for the most part on Pulsex, because I've got like an hour kind of limited timing. But I guess before we go back to the chat, we can take a look at Hex, because it seems like it's bottomed out, right? And I was actually saying this before, and we can actually do that. But so on Gerardo, his lookintohex.com website, the actual, I think it's called like the regression rainbow, something like that. We'll click on it right now. January 5th, 2020, day 33, right, was the absolute lowest price of Hex. And when Hex went to its most recent low, like, I don't know, 12, 11 cents, whatever the price was, it was at the same like Fibonacci resistance or something like that, that January 5th was of 2020. And so a lot of us were thinking like, okay, you know, this is definitely the you know, the opportunity of maximum, you know, investment opportunity. All right, let's go back to it real quick. Yeah, once again, another absolutely amazing, you know, person in the community, Gerardo. You got people like Gerardo, Wales Only, Bobcat, Jenkins. You know, so many people, you know, just provide value for free, and they're not expecting anything of it. I mean, you know, it's really cool to see. So we're just going to scroll down right here. And so this is pretty much where I'm talking about was, let's see, right. Actually, yeah, right here. So yeah, right around here, you can see, I guess we'll just do it this way. So yeah, right there, you can see, and it did go below the line a little bit. So, you know, I guess Richard had a little bit different of a line, but the point kind of stands that this red right here, you know, if it happens to go just a little bit below it, that's like the maximum point of investing in ROI. So that's what happened most recently. We kind of dipped below it once again. And then looks like we're popping off pretty good. So we'll take another look real quick here at the, that's version 2, at the actual price. I mean, we're sitting at 29.26 cents, but let's just show everyone. So uniswap.hex.vision, y'all can see the screen. I like to look at longer time frames personally, and I'm definitely not a technical guy as far as charts, you know, go to the other people that are experts at that. But it's really cool to see, because one thing that people should be doing in general, if you've never been in crypto, etc., you know, most people, they're not chart people, but they end up looking at them because they're into crypto. Make sure that you do click the logarithmic on. That way it kind of, you know, scales the time, and you kind of have like a bigger picture. But then the other thing I like to do personally, I mean, everyone's different, but I like to look at some of the longer time frames. I mean, honestly, like daily is the absolute shortest, the lowest time frame that I personally would look at. I like to look at some of the longer ones, like say weekly and things like this. But it's awesome to see. And this is just version 2, right? A lot of people don't know that, but that when Hex first came out, it was on Uniswap version 1, and then they ported it over to version 2. So we're going to take a look real quick. This has the full, chart history and things like that, the data. So you can see that, and once again, it's just perspective, right? Anything in investing is always perspective. If you know what the heck that you put your money into, then and you're like confident with it, right? You've done the research, you know kind of where the market's going, then at least you have a little bit more certainty when the price does dip, right? We've seen 86.4% dips and corrections, during big payday, which was just, almost a little bit over a year ago, like 13 months ago. So anyways, those are always the maximum points of opportunity. And it's interesting because you see sometimes the sentiment of people where, when it was at, I don't know, 13.3 cents, something like that, a lot of people were super bearish. But once again, other people that had been in the market for a while, they kind of separate the emotions from what is going on. And, those usually turn out to be absolutely great times. So anyways, that was that. Just wanted to show what was going on with Hex, because we're pumping again into what's going to be, we first had the Pulse chain, right? It was like June 2021 that we had the Vegas conference, and a lot of us were kind of nervous because for Pulse chain, we're thinking like, okay, is Richard going to launch the Pulse chain sacrifice when we're all at Vegas? Like we hope he wouldn't, right? We hope that he'd be considerate. So I said that to say that the price then was like maybe 5 cents at the time. And it's cool to see where it's at now, beginning, a new sacrifice phase. And I think the stuff with Pulse chain and kind of having our own blockchain where we're not having to have like a racket and like extortion fees from Ethereum network. I think that that's really going to, make Hex, is going to make PulseX, all of that, its maximum potential that it can be. Okay, so let's go back to the chat real quick, guys, and see what everyone else has to say, because that was pretty much a lot of ranting, and we got like an hour before I'll have to do kind of like a hard stop. Simona, Merry Christmas, Bran. Merry Christmas to you too. It's going to be an awesome new year for sure. Okay, let's scroll up a smidge here. Once again, shout out to the people that, spending their time educating themselves. I was actually listening to one of the ladies in the Telegram, Brandon's Telegram, the Rags to Riches. And she was saying like, I'd made a comment, she had made a comment, and then she had made a comment to me like, oh, I'm kind of new in this crypto space, but I'm doing everything I can, right? I'm, trying to listen to the right people or multiple people that are saying something similar, and then also verifying that myself. You're not just blindly following someone. But I was telling her like, you're doing exactly like the best thing that you could be doing is listening to, X amount of people, and then just spending the time doing your own research. Because, the people that, once again, spend their time to watch K4K's videos and some of these other people's videos, you can really get a better, comprehension and understanding of what that actual opportunity is. So that way, if you actually do spend a little bit of time ahead of time, as opposed to regretting it later, you might not regret not investing in that sacrifice and things like that. USDC, so United States Dollar Coin, will get a copy, but if it has admin keys, the overlords will just hit the delete button on Pulse USDC, right? No, so that's just assuming that they will, but no one knows what they're going to do. It just means that they can, yeah. So as Richard's mentioned, there's like multiple forms of admin keys. Like some admin keys, admin keys themselves, they're not all the same, right? But the stablecoin admin keys, such as USDC, things like that, that's like the highest degree of admin key. So as you mentioned, they can literally, invalidate coins, reprint coins, etc. So for some of the people that are, holding, that's the other thing too. Like people just need to choose whatever they want to for what they're going to hold over for the copy, or if they're going to do other things like that. Richard did mention, which I thought was, kind of profound, because he really knows his stuff. And whoever the sacrifice wallet is, they've got a whole bunch of USDC. I don't think that they would be converting all those other tokens to USDC if they didn't think that, that there were, if they thought there was going to be a problem, they wouldn't be doing that. And so Richard had mentioned that, yeah, sure, they could invalidate the coins and stuff, but technically, the users could sue the heck out of them for, kind of stealing the value type of deal. So it's kind of just a gray area. But that's just one thing I wanted to say. Hex Monkey says, you're better off holding Hex for the fork. I don't know. I'm not really in much of the other, cryptos and stuff anymore, just not because I don't think they're good, but, Hex is the one that's performed the best. And it's the one that I know that's consistent, right? As far as its code and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, personally, I'm just kind of sticking with the Hex bags that I have. And, everyone kind of, once again, needs to think about that. I mean, I personally wouldn't be expecting personally the NFTs that are going to get copied over to PulseChain, the same exact NFTs, just on a different network. I wouldn't think that things like that are going to really hold their value per se, right? Yeah, he says, so Turd Bucket says, long-term outlooks are better to me too. Well, that's exactly right. And, the psychology of a market cap, of a market cycle, I mean, those are really just, and someone said this a long time ago in 2017, and it really resonated with me because it's got to do with finances and stuff. But, those candles are kind of like emotions. So, and yeah, I guess the actual psychology thing does say that, but at the very top, there's like euphoria, and you think that you're an absolute genius and stuff like that. So anyways, longer term outlooks, I definitely agree. They are better. The rainbow chart looks awesome. Totally agree. Shout out to Gerardo, hosting all of that for free. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was the comment that So Excited had asked, or the question that they had asked. So yeah, technically, if you have USDC right now, which, on Ethereum, that's the only one that I know it's on, that will get copied over, right, or forked over to PulseChain. But, as far as what happens from there, right, like what the value, just like with Hex, what's the value going to be, etc. We don't really know unless someone decides to put in the liquidity for the Hart's Law. Okay, cool. Hexicat, how's it going? Hex Monkey says, bring back my day one FOMO memories, LOL. Well, and, Richard doesn't like to give people a bad deal. And it's not that he didn't know day one of Hex sacrificing or of Hex AA would do that, right? He had mentioned, hey, don't go in on day one, things like that. But even for things, he'd mentioned this on one of his recent streams, but for PulseChain, initially it was just X amount of days, I think 16 or 17, maybe 17 to 19 day sacrifice. And then the people that kept doing it afterwards, initially they weren't going to get honored. And then he just kept honoring it with the bonding curve going up. And so he had said that he had kind of just learned from a couple of those experiences, and that with the Pulsex sacrifice, he didn't say specifically, but he had said he was going to kind of, try and make it, I think, maybe more generous to the people that might not listen very well. So someone asked this with Richard yesterday. It's just to my knowledge, I mean, that's version 2. That's version 2 testnet. 2 mainnet and testnet. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is because Richard answered the question where he said, like, the ID or something like that was 940, something like that. So I would just go to, Richard Hart on Twitter and go to the PulseChain on GitLab. Sandy, nice to see you, Sandy. I know she's onboarding a lot of the people in her field, right? The medical field and stuff like that. That's absolutely amazing. Getting more women in crypto. I mean, when you think of other communities too, and people ask like, okay, Richard, why is Hex gone up, X amount of percent and stuff like this? And they're like, is it because of you? And he's like, no, I mean, look at the name, look at the logo, look at the community, etc. And I forget who was actually asking that. But it's just really cool to see that, yeah, everything kind of is happening from like a meritocracy standpoint, which is what Richard's always talked about. Hex Bull Run says, sacrifice Hex only, please. That's what I'm probably going to be doing. Let's see. Yeah, K4K's latest video on Pulsex makes me want to say all my old crypto bags held. Oh, makes you want to sell. I mean, yeah, I may or may not have done something similar when Hex first came out. So, sometimes, they say like the eggs in one basket analogy where it can be like super detrimental or just super beneficial, right? And I don't know. Sometimes things just tend to completely outperform. 2022 is going to be so bright. I agree. I mean, once again, the community, that's what's so damn bullish about this, is that Bitcoin is like over 12 years old. Hex is a little bit over 2 years old. And you just look at some of these things where Richard talks about, like, people ask, they say, oh, Hex has already gone up 10,000x. Like, you can't do another 10,000x, can it? And I think part of what Richard talks about in response is like the Metcalfe's law thing, where it's like the more amount of people that are in the network, like how many people have heard about it currently, a little bit over 2 years into it, versus how many will hear about it in the future. And, you look at what some of the Hexicans are doing with just the advertising, things like this. I mean, Richard's said that none of those advertisements in the UK or the buses or anything like that were his funding, that they were community funded. And so it's really cool to see, just the people kind of doing things that are in the best interest for their bag, for the community, stuff like that. And it happens to be a win-win. You're giving someone an opportunity to pretty much rewind time and go back and, buy Bitcoin at $1, etc., as an analogy. But it just happens to be way better technology too. And it's such a better technology and smart contract and financial idea that this is the most crazy thing, is that the average, you don't have to lock, you don't have to stake Hex. If you do, you earn part of the inflation and you get yield. You also get yield from people that end their stakes early, and therefore they're not going to get 100%. Anyways, it's just really cool to see some of the features that kind of go on with that. Oh, that 6 years, right? 6 years is the average, but I remember when it was like 2 years at first. So, more people are voting with their stakes, and I think it's like a weighted average Richard mentioned, which means that there needs to be, a lot of, Quattro Cinco and maximum, 10 to 15 year stakes to get an average of 6, because some people either don't stake or they stake for a year, etc. So when you have not only like what seems to be like a narrative, but you can verify all of that data, and it's not like spoofed or wash traded, things like this. It's actual data. That's the kind of stuff that really separates, I think, Hex personally from some of these other metrics in crypto that just seem a little bit less legitimate. I know Richard says this, but he really is the giving tree. Not many times you get 3 opportunities like we have gotten so far in such a short time. I agree. I mean, yeah, Hex has been around for a little bit over 2 years, and yeah, about 2 year time span. You've got now PulseChain, that opportunity that had happened, and then now Pulsex, which hasn't happened yet. So everyone, once again, should prepare. And, once again, should watch K4K's video on some of his analysis, because I did take some notes and I'm not going to go into it here. But once again, he talks about the process, the buyback and burn that happens like automatically. It's not done, once again, via a what do they call it? Like a multi-signature wallet, things like that. It's not kind of like a fake pseudo admin key. It's it's legitimate, where it's not really centrally owned and controlled. So that's going to happen no matter what. And it was saying something like $90 million of automatic buy pressure for Pulsex if we do what SushiSwap did, which I think the volume was some sort of metric. But definitely go watch his video. He can explain it a lot better than me. But that's the kind of stuff that people don't really consider, is that, I think it's 21% of all of the fees are going to the buyback and burn function. Like, that's absolutely freaking bullish, man. Because once again, when you consider you've got something that's completely deflationary, and so yeah, something that's completely deflationary, and something on the other side that people are using all the time to trade from coin to coin and etc. And those fees are going to be going to buying back, the token that's deflationary, which is the Pulsex. I think people are going to be, really, really happy with what kind of happens. We'll read a couple more comments because we've got like an hour cut off. Completion fails. Nice to see you. This is a new name, so good to see you, Tuga69. Happy holidays from Portugal. Awesome. Hey, nice to see you. Oh yeah, Hex Live, dude. Me too, man. When Richard first mentioned, PulseChain, you're like, okay, this makes sense. And then when he had mentioned PulseX, I still don't know all of the intricacies. Once again, why you should watch K4K. He's done his research and extensively. But from what I've listened from his stuff and understand now, after a little bit more time has passed, I am extremely bullish on this. And it's cool when you do happen to have liquidity that becomes available, or places where you can save here and things like that, and then put it into such an investment and sacrifice. Ellie says, do you think that PulseX can 10,000x faster than PulseChain because of this, because of the buy and burn thing? I would say, it's tough, right? But I would almost say yes. And, K4K kind of mentioned this, and, it brings up a really good point that PulseChain, that's completely deflationary, and they've got, I think, 25% burn on the, the transactions and the fees and stuff. But, Richard has kind of, when you iterate, right, and you make something that's the next generation, you tend to scrap the mistakes, or at least learn from them, and then implement things that can be better for the next one. And I think that's what kind of Richard has done, and incentivizing people once again to have PulseX be, the number one place that people go trade on PulseChain. So we're gonna read maybe like one or two more comments. Once again, I'm gonna be like a couple minutes late for a little family thing that we're just gonna be hanging out with. Art Day. I'll just say shout out to the people. Mofit Meals by Monica. Nice to see you. I know I've seen you a lot recently, so it's awesome once again to see people of like minds and just people in general, participating in the communities. And oh yeah, once again, the actual website that I was showing you, we'll actually do this very last. So the pulsex.com, that's got the actual Telegram. And once again, just as you should be careful with the URL, you should be careful on like which t.me or which Telegram rooms you're actually agreeing to and joining. But it's t.me/pulsexcom. And we're going to share the screen here right there. So it's linked on both websites, the pulsex.com and the pulsex.info. All right. So once again, that was pretty much that. We'll see if there's any last, last minute people I can just say what's up to. And once again, Crypto Heartbeat, nice to see you, man. You're kicking ass and taking names, dude. It's awesome to see people like him and just other people that, they're doing really good work. But he says we all win together. And that's the last thing I'll say is that someone like Crypto Heartbeat, because he's mentioned it, he's worked in like the nonprofit, field, space industry for, he mentioned like over 25 years. And it's just cool the kind of caliber of people and the experience that people have in the Hex community and in these other different communities, that they can use their knowledge from their experience to boost the community or to better market things or to build something that is going to be a win-win scenario. He had mentioned that, and Sandra's definitely right. We are a tribe. I agree. Community, tribe. Yeah, you're definitely right. But Crypto Heartbeat did mention in one of his most recent videos that he is going to be launching something on PulseChain. So that'll be exciting to see. And anyways, that's pretty much it. Everyone got to hang out with the family for, Christmas yesterday at the mom's place, Christmas today here. And once again, hope everyone had a great Christmas, holidays, etc. Hexmas. And once again, 2022, I think is going to be absolutely amazing year financially for the people that are here right now, for the people that kind of see a little bit of the bigger picture that, stocks are cool and stuff, but who cares about a 10% or a 5% when you can conservatively in some cryptos get hundreds of X and things like that. So just kind of a different paradigm, and a lot of the people that are here already, they understand that. So yeah, thanks again, Jerry. Hope you're doing well with the snow over there too. And let's see, Sandy, nice to see you. So that's pretty much it, everyone. Once again, thank you. The community is the best part of Hex, and I would say the best part of people that follow Richard. So we're going to do the outro and let everyone go back to the holidays. Once again, have a good New Year's. And there actually is one last thing, freedomtv.info. I think that they're doing some sort of New Year's stream on like January 1st or January 2nd, because I got asked to participate in it. So I told them I would for, at least an hour or something like that. But so they'll be doing, there'll be a handful of Hexicans and, a whole bunch of people that are in the community in general doing New Year streams and things like that. So, definitely get involved there. If you're one of the people that, doesn't have family or whatever for the holiday times, why the heck wouldn't you try and submerge yourself into something that's a solid, healthy, beneficial community that could kind of replace, the lack of that didn't exist before. So anyways, that's it, everyone. Thank you. See you next time.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Say hey. Stake that hex, 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 stake that hex. Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch.
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.